up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, back in here with yet one more video. Guys, got a reaction to do here today. This video was actually sent to me a little while ago, meaning probably about a year ago. I just haven't gotten around to it, but I think it promotes a interesting discussion. Forced fatherhood, that's what we're going to be talking about here today. A particularly sensitive conversation because a offshoot of the topic is right, and that choice to keep or not. Here's the crux of the argument right here. Is it fair that women are given the choice to keep or abort while men are not given that choice at all? Now listen, real quick before we get into this conversation. From a law perspective, from a legal perspective, we know what the decision is currently today. Some states are outlawing it. Most states have not. Within that being said, right now, mothers, whether or not they anticipated becoming pregnant or not, have the right to choice. So is it incumbent upon the men who do not want to have children to protect their seeds the best of their ability? What we see happening more often than not in media is those men who make a lot of money are being trapped, and it is less of an case in these circumstances with the women or the groupies that come across them after they get pregnant. You understand what I'm saying? But for us normal people, we can still have this conversation. So I would say this, for the strength of this conversation, take out the idea from a legal perspective and the resulting outcome of how both men and women should move. But let's enter in this moral discussion of, is it fair that women get to choose, but men do not after the point of conception? You understand? Let's get into this discussion.
Should a guy who's made a father without his choice be involved physically or financially in the kid's life?
No.
Why?
Oh, sorry, you guys.
I think it depends on circumstance. Like, what is the circumstance of having the kid? Were you trapped? Like, was it like, did you know that you were having the kid? Was it planned? It all depends on what the situation is, of course. Like, if you didn't, if she's, you know, turning around and she's just like, yeah, no worries, I'm on contraception. Then 2 months later, she's like, I'm pregnant with your kid. You need to financially support me. You need to do this. You need to do that. It's a different circumstance to being in a relationship with someone.
Not really, because at the end,
which happens a lot. It happens a lot, you know. At the same time, and let's get out the morality as well of if they should keep or. I think that right to choose is, let's take that out the conversation, okay? But this happens a lot, where it is by accident or mistake. I think, like, you know, there's a lot of choices for female contraception, but not a lot of choices for male contraception. At the same time, there's a lot more permanent ones for women, but certain women do not want to take those because of perceived lasted impact to their bodies and the unnaturalness of it. But this idea of choice, I mean, wouldn't be on the chopping block if men had the right to choose at the point of conception. Well, let's move on.
At the end of the day, you slept with her, and to be honest,
but you're lying.
girls is that not every woman you're gonna trust her, and guys need to have a bit more respect for themselves than always putting it on the woman to be like, okay, yeah, she's on contraception, whatever. The only thing that's gonna prevent you from having a kid is if you wrap up, and sometimes that and all splits and whatever, and then she, the woman as well, shouldn't then put a guy in a situation that she knows that he's not gonna want to be in. So I think once you sleep with someone, you have to be prepared for one of those consequences, because at the end of the day, a lot of guys, they're not safe. They're not safe out here. Because I was even having a conversation with one of my friends, and he was like, oh, he's just lucky at the moment that he hasn't got a child. Like, it's just literally based.
It's confusing what she's saying, because I think that she was trying to say in the beginning of that is, if it's different if a man puts on a condom and then the condom breaks and then there's an option within that. But then it sounds like she also circled back at the end and just said, well, if you're not abstinent, you should be prepared for anything, which I think those two statements contradict each other. I think that if the condom breaks and you anticipated on not having a child, does the man get the decision to keep or not? So I think rounding that out with the abstinence argument is a bit disingenuous in a way that she set up that argument. Well, let's move on. Let's see if she has another point.
A lot because it's all about excitement and this and the feel and whatever. So at the end of the day, if you sleep with someone, just be prepared.
Yeah, you always have to be prepared. If you do the deed, you've got to be prepared. But what I'm saying is, like, in terms of like expecting financial, physical support, that's completely different to being prepared. Like,
so why should it only be on the woman?
I'm not saying it should be on the woman.
The woman has more responsibilities. It's your body. So first of all, even if you're having sex with someone, you consent to having sex, but not having a child with that person. Mm-hmm. So if you don't get pregnant, I don't think it's then, because if it was the other way around where the guy wants a child and the girl doesn't, the girl can go out of her way and go and have an abortion.
Sure.
So why would you then turn around and say it's a 50-50? It's not really a 50-50 thing.
No, I'm not saying it's...
That's a fantastic point. I have had examples in my life where the woman didn't want to keep the child, but the man did, right? So that happens as well. It's not 50-50 then, underneath the law.
It should be a 50-50.
I think it should be. I've got mixed feelings about it. I feel like for the woman to still keep the baby, like for me personally, I think if you're going to keep a child, it's sad, but it's the times that we live in. You should keep that child for you, not because of who the dad is or if the dad's going to be around. And that should be your decision that I want to be a mum to this child, regardless of who supports me. But I feel like at the end of the day, it takes two people to make a child. It's cliche, but it's a fact. So at the end of the day, if you contributed your sperm, you might have to contribute some money towards that. And if you don't want to do that, then you should do everything to make sure that she don't get pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. Even you can do like wearing a condom, that condom can still break and then you're then pregnant. A lot of times people feel like, oh, because you're a woman, your body carries a lot of weight. Even a guy can come have sex with you, go to another girl's house and have sex with another girl, and then the girl gets pregnant. So it can do that multiple times, but your body has to carry that. You have to walk around 9 months, and then 18 years later, walk around with a child. So that responsibility is kind of on you to then make that decision of, do you know what? And there's not a lot of male contraceptive out there as well. So you can go out and get an implant, you can go out and get so many different things, and you choosing not to do that is very responsible of you to not do that. And I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, because I feel like it's a 30-70 sort of situation where the girl has 70%. Like it's literally of a choice to keep that baby, or if you don't want to keep that baby and take care of your body.
Not fair.
I don't think.
Yeah, I think it should be incumbent on both. At the end of the day, like I honestly, I can't wait until there's a male contraception that is in pill form, where you can feel everything that you want to feel in the way that God meant us to feel it. Okay, you just take a pill, a daily pill. I can't wait for that day. You know, I'm gonna let it go through like 10 years of testing first. By that time, I'm gonna be pretty old, but I'm gonna let it go through like 10 years of testing first, just to make sure it doesn't like it doesn't medically castrate you as a side effect. You understand what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, I think the ideal situation is that both people are taking birth control, because both are doing some form of birth control, because you know, both do not want that intended outcome. And fact of the matter is, if you're a dude and you do not choose to wrap up, you know, then you are taking a large risk, you know, and that risk is ever more increased depending upon your own anatomy. Meaning, if you got a leaky faucet, you're taking a mega risk. You understand what I'm saying? All right, gents, practice those male Kegels as well. It will help you in that pull-out game. Okay, but don't rely on it. All right, that's not the smart thing to do. Let's move on.
I think it's fair for a guy for you to sit around and say, oh, because we both wanted to do it. Yes, I had to have sex with you, but I didn't choose to have a child with you. Now,
but you know the consequences of having unprotected sex. That's the thing. It's not just about
even
having
if I was to wear a condom,
sex.
the condom could still break. So it's not, what more could you want me to do? But you as a woman should then take care of yourself. If I'm having sex with you, a lot of guys have asked girls, are you on contraception? They go like, yeah, sure.
They're lying.
So what do you want me to do about that?
You should wrap up.
Even if you did, this is what I don't like as well, is that women sit there and be like, yeah, but it takes two to tango. No, not really, because guess what? You're walking around fat, looking or not looking good for a very long time because you didn't listen and just think, you know what? Let me just sort myself out, because you have more. All
right, let's say she's.
I get her argument, but I think the argument that she's making is within an idea that the woman didn't intend that. So she was saying that, well, here you go, you get pregnant, you looking fat, da-da-da. But it's to say that the woman did not intend to get pregnant in a lot of these different situations. What I've seen is that she has fallen in love, and then maybe to keep him in her life, right? And then child is born expecting a relationship, and then child gets used as leverage. Meanwhile, knew that the dude life was not set up for that he didn't want to go down that avenue. But side effect to sex, unprotected sex, is that
if I choose not to have a child with him, we had that conversation of no, I'm not ready to have a child right now, and then you choose to go on and then have a child outside of my consent, and I didn't agree to that.
That's different.
And even
we're talking about potential instances where you haven't even had that conversation, but you slept with each other, and obviously pregnancy is a possible outcome.
That's why you should have a conversation. Even if you then get pregnant and then maybe you didn't know about it, and then 6 months into that situation, or even whenever you do find out you're pregnant, if you can't have an abortion anymore, and we both sat down and said, you know what, I'm not ready to be a father, I don't want to be part of this child's life. I think the court or the judicial system should have a situation where you can both sit down, mediate, and say, you know what, I'm not going to. So you have the full. Without the child support, because I don't have a say in that. I didn't consent to having a child with you. Now my life, no, that's, if I was to get pregnant right now and the guy says no, what I'm going to do is, your name is not going to be on the birth certificate. It's my child. I'm taking responsibility of that child. I don't think guys should have to be forced into something they didn't want to do in the first place.
That's an interesting argument, an interesting perspective from a woman that I have never heard. I have never heard. It sounds like full and utmost accountability is what I hear. But, you know, from a societal perspective, I mean, we see the numbers and the statistics of a single parent household. And the thing is like to incentivize 2-parent households, a great way to do that is to make the person of the father whose name is on the birth certificate fiscally responsible for that. And I think that makes a lot of sense from a long-term societal perspective, because again, if you don't do that, you're gonna get a lot of single parent households. But at the same time, if you are requiring that, then I think that it is also important to require that a DNA test regarding the actual father of that baby should be given at birth 100% of the time. I don't think that it's fair to require a man to be financially responsible unless you undoubtedly prove that that man is in fact the father. It happens in a minority of cases, but it happens, and it should not. All right, we should be ashamed of ourselves that the Maury Show had started off as a normal talk show, and then it's just 100% birth show, right? Like we should be ashamed of ourselves. Look what we've done to Maury's career. Okay, just a straight paternity test show. All right, let's go on one more time.
Because now you're just, what's the point? Because that's my decision. I'm choosing to keep that child.
Yeah, no.
So I'm not going to go and chase a guy for a check or whatever. If I'm having a child, I'm having a child with my full chest.
Yeah.
Listen, fantastic content. I appreciated this conversation. However, I'm not going to go through the entirety of the video. I'm going to leave the rest of the video down in the description box down below. But guys, give me your thoughts. All right, remove legality out of it, of what it currently is in the United States, and let's talk about from a moral perspective. I want to see your comments on this, okay? Should men be morally obligated if they intended to have sex but not a child, right? Should they be morally obligated to be within that child's life when you consider that the woman or the mother has the choice to keep or abort? I think it's going to be a fantastic conversation. Let's have it down in the comments down below. That has been your video. That has been your reaction. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. All right, got a Patreon as well. All right, that's the family. That's the inner circle. Click on the link down below to see all the benefits of becoming involved. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.